Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to give everyone a second to jump in the room here. We'll get started in just a second. Thank you for joining us today. Great to have you with us today. On behalf of the Combined Arms Institute, welcome. Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about measuring communities. We have a great partnership with the Military Family Research Institute at Purdue University. And we are going to just talk about this amazing tool and let you all dig into some resources that will help you figure out how to measure your community, how you can use this information for strategic planning, grant applications, programs, and more. So please do share this information with your colleagues. We're excited to kick off. Feel free to say hello and send us a note, let us know what organization you're with and where you're from in the chat. We love to hear from you all today. Also, if you are on social media, feel free to tag us. We love to hear the insights that you've learned. Those little nuggets, especially on Twitter, that you might have really found interesting. Feel free to tag us at Combined Arms US and follow us about all the things we have going on at Combined Arms on all of our social media channels. I am your host today. My name is Kelly Finstormer. I'm a Navy veteran and the executive director of the Combined Arms Institute. I'm thrilled to be here with you. It is my joy to amplify the work of others, and so just really going to serve as your moderator today. One of the things we forgot to ask, if you had any pre-questions, so please do use that chat and questions feature heavily. We'll make sure that we get all of that information covered for you as we explore this really exciting tool. At Combined Arms, we're on a mission to unite the community and accelerate the impact of veterans and military families. We are redesigning the transition experience in order to elevate communities through innovative collaboration. Our technology is live across the great state of Texas, supporting San Diego, Miami-Dade, Buffalo, New York. We'll soon be building out South Carolina, the great state of South Carolina. So just really excited. We have 44 national partners that we can connect veterans and military families to resources across the nation. And so just happy to have you along on this journey. All roads lead to collaboration. Through the Institute, we're all about maximizing the impact of veterans serving community. We want to make sure that veterans and military families have access to high quality resources in the communities where they live. So no matter what door they choose to walk through, they get holistic access to great resources that can serve and meet their needs. We do this through 3 different pillars, VSO 2.0, so really investing in your professional development to help you accelerate the impact that you're having in serving veterans and families. Leading policy and research, keeping you informed about how you can serve better or pay attention to issues that may be happening in your community, as well as through our collaboration committees. So make sure you reach out to us and get involved in all of these 3 different areas. We're making some changes to our website, so I do want to just call this out to you. Trying to simplify things, but in this way we do recognize it's a little bit hard to see. So the Combined Arms Institute is located under our impact at the bottom. You can see that little yellow arrow. We're still working on some of those redesigns, and we'll make sure that we get it into a good place, but just want you to know that all of the resources that we have available to you can be found through the website there. And also today, we're going to be talking about measuring communities. If you scroll down, once you find the Institute, you'll find these boxes that will help you to navigate to many of the tools and resources we have available to you. And measuring communities will be linked on that Institute main page. And here, of course, is the website that I'll put in the chat in a little bit so that you all can figure out how to log into this information. So like many of us, Purdue also has to make a donor case as to how they can fund and continue to update this data. And so it is behind a login so that they can make the case of how many people are using this tool and make sure that we can continue to have access to this great information. But through the Institute, we do have the login information for you on this page. And so we recommend that you check all of that out, and we'll be excited to hear all of the great things that you're learning. And before we get started, I just want to call out a couple of things for you. The Suicide Prevention Month is this month, so make sure that we're calling attention and paying attention to those things. The mental wellness of everyone, especially for our veterans and families, with the events in Afghanistan this past month, is really critical. So always want to make sure that we're taking care of each other. Combined Arms can connect you to critical resources that you need. Yesterday kicked off Hispanic Heritage Month. And then of course on Monday, we're excited to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Combined Arms will be co-hosting with Modern Military a moment of silence at 7 a.m. Central Time on Facebook Live. So please join us in for that. Next week, we are hosting community hubs, how to support special immigrant visas. So feel free to join us for that training. And then of course, our upcoming convening. And then finally, you can see a couple of education committees, a meeting we have on Friday, and some upcoming portal training for those of you that use our technology, our Salesforce system. And then as always, we love and appreciate your feedback. We have a survey that we put together that takes literally 2 minutes. Just like, yes, did I like it? No, I didn't. How can I improve? And I am so grateful for that feedback, as well as the rest of the team. So please continue to give us that feedback. We love hearing from you. But today, like I said, we have special guests with us from Purdue University. And so I'm really excited to introduce to you Kathy Bruniarczyk and Katie Schmitz, who is with us from the Military Family Research Institute. Kathy is a military spouse and has worked in this arena. We've been partners for many years, and it is my honor to stand alongside of her as we empower veteran and military serving organizations with the right information to get you connected for your programming and strategic planning. Katie is brand new to the MFRI team, but we welcome her and we're excited to have her along. She's joined recently from a nonprofit in Indiana University or Indiana Hospital and has worked a lot into community health. And so she's just gonna be a great addition to the team and a great asset for all of us as to how we can best use these tools and information to grow our programs and strengthen our business cases of support. So Kathy and Katie, if you will, please join me. And I'm gonna stop sharing here for a second while we transition over to Katie, who's gonna bring up her slides.
Well, welcome everyone. I've been looking at the chat and seeing where different people are coming from. So Texas and Philadelphia and Illinois and all those other places. So welcome everyone. Katie and I are excited to be here today talking about measuring communities. And you can see right here, it's really this mapping progress for military and veteran families. And the URL is right there. So Katie, if you want to go to the next slide. So we can kind of talk about the 3 things that we really want to do today while we have you on this webinar. First of all, really looking at measuring communities and what is it? That sometimes is the biggest question. Well, what is it? The next one we wanted to kind of look at is how do you use it? And the third and probably the most important one is how does it apply to your work? It's great to have tools, but if they're not useful for you, then you have a tendency not to use that. So we're going to cover these 3 things and let's get started. So one of the, our organization, the Military Family Research Institute, we collaborated with the Purdue Center for Regional Development to actually create measuring communities. So it's an online data portal and the 2 organizations, as you can see here. So MFRI, we work with collaborators across the country to improve the lives of service members, veterans, and families, and Combined Arms Institute is one of those. We have 5 strategic goals that kind of help us focus our work and really look at initiatives focused on research with impact. Our Purdue Center for Regional Development focuses on things like civic leadership, collaboration, and applications of advanced data support, really to look at economic development in Indiana and beyond. So together, we created measuring communities. Okay.
So what is measuring communities? Measuring communities is really a tool which helps us learn about military and veteran relevant characteristics for geographic areas of your choice. Often it helps us look at both state and county level data that is relevant for the needs of your organization. It also helps us learn how communities are changing by having data from previous years and current years. It helps us identify trends in data across time. And it helps us learn how communities compare to other communities. For example, it helps us compare counties, neighboring counties across the state of Texas on a number of different data indicators. Measuring communities also has a few applications. First, we can use measuring communities to identify gaps in support that are actionable at state and local levels, such as if we identify counties that have high veteran unemployment rates, we're able to also identify if there is employment support in this area. If not, we've identified a possible employment support gap within the community. Second, we can use these gaps we've identified through the site to build or adjust programming to better meet the needs of the community. Again, if we identify high veteran unemployment rates in a certain community with few employment support centers, a veteran serving organization can think about creating partnership or refining services to best meet the needs and close any service-related gaps. Third, we can use measuring communities as a platform to share information with others in hopes of making evidence-informed decisions at state and local levels. Measuring communities allows us to download data tables and print data maps to easily share this information with others we work with. Measuring communities has 10 topic areas of focus, or what we call domains. Each of the 10 domains is identified by an icon and represented as a specific color throughout the entirety of the website. So for example, if you see purple in that brain, you know that that is behavioral health. The 10 domains are K through 12 education, post-secondary education, behavioral health, medical care, community, employment, financial, legal, housing, and general demographics. Each of the 10 domains has a number of data indicators. Each indicator is a measurement of some aspect of that domain. The indicators provide information on people or places, and this information provided can help create context or understanding of who these people are and where they're living. The indicators use a wide array of data sources. In measuring communities, we use more than 30 different data sources. Many of these sources are federal and state government data sources, such as the Veterans Affairs, the Department of Defense, the US Census Bureau, and the Departments of Justice for each individual state. Other data sources come from organizations such as the Community Blueprint, Blue Star Families, TRICARE, and the Military Child Education Coalition. You should also know that the data on measuring communities is updated on a yearly cycle. Many of the data sources are published on a yearly basis, and our measuring communities team works very, very hard to update each of the indicators as soon as that specific data source is published. Due to the nature of data collection and publication, the most current data available on measuring communities can be approximately 12 to 18 months from the current date. On this slide here, you can see the indicators for the community domain. Indicators for this domain include community support groups, National Guard family programs, military family assistance centers, the poverty rate, and also the Military Family Life Survey. A list of more than 60 indicators is included on the Measuring Community site with the corresponding domain. In addition to typically available data, Measuring Communities has worked with national organizations and nonprofit partners such as the American Red Cross and Blue Star Families to bring additional data to the site. We call this inclusion of data our data potluck. The goal of the data potluck is to help these nonprofit organizations make their data accessible to Measuring Communities users. This type of data can help users create an understanding of the well-being of military-connected individuals in communities, Many times these organizations get information directly from their military clients. So it's really important to figure out how to make that available on Measuring Communities. So as you may tell, data on Measuring Communities comes from many sources. And we also know that data in general may vary in quality or also data collection methods. Consumers of research information must be alert to these variations and use information appropriately when making decisions. We created a list of research and data characteristics that can affect the level of confidence you should have in using different data sets within your work. These characteristics include items such as the researcher used random or probability sampling, the researcher used validated instruments, and the researcher collected data from a large and diverse sample. These characteristics are scored on what we call a confidence index out of 5 stars. 1 star is considered a low score, meaning they have less of these characteristics, and a 5 star is considered a high score, meaning they have more of these characteristics. Higher scores on the confidence index, such as a 4 or a 5, mean that you can base decisions from this research more heavily. In other words, you can feel more confident in having and basing major organizational decisions from this data or research. When confidence scores are low, such as a 1 or a 2, you should consider the information interesting and relevant, but you might need to verify it in your local area or with more people before making major organizational decisions. In essence, Measuring Communities allows us to view a confidence index score for each indicator. So that includes all 60 indicators. So you have an idea how to properly use the data from each indicator within your work. You can find the confidence index score on Measuring Communities indicators by hovering over this little eye icon. A black box will appear. You'll see the description, the source of the data, and then you'll see the confidence index and how many stars. So here you can see that the suicide rates by state for veterans and non-veterans has a confidence index score of 5 out of 5, the highest score.
Great, thanks, Katie. So now the next question is, so how do you use this? So we're going to kind of take you through a kind of a, for lack of a better term, a little, not tutorial, but a little tour of the center. So when you go to Measuring Communities, and Katie, you can do the next slide. You'll see the list on the left here on the screen, and that's kind of considered our welcome page. And so there's multiple ways to actually get onto the site based on what you are looking for. So for the first, if you want to explore all of the data, you click the first box, explore the web-based data. But if you don't necessarily want to go there just yet, we have other options for you. We have 2 bars there that say view compiled report and view enhanced report. So we do have reports that are available for you, and you can actually just access them directly from those tabs instead of going all the way and navigating through the site to get those. The same thing with the VA Hospital Compare reports that we have. So you can choose different reports. You can go and get the web-based data. This is an example of our annual report, which you can access from those tabs. And so really what it does, it gives the 60,000 foot view in terms of, you know, what is the national look for, you know, the state of military and veteran families. A lot of you on the call today are looking at very specific geographic regions, but it might be interesting to see, you know, what is kind of this national perspective. So we have the standard report, and then we do have what we call an enhanced report, which provides additional data and downloads, usually at the state level. But if you want to actually go dig into the data, which I think a lot of people like to do, when you actually click the Explore Web-Based Data, you get this login page. You can see it here on the left. And what you need to do is you need to enter your organizational ID. And this is what we have created for Combined Arms. So you can see that here on the screen. I will also put it in the chat in just a minute, but you enter that ID and then your first name, last name, and your email, and click submit, and then you enter it. There should be a 90-day cookie, so you don't have to continue to put in the code. It'll just automatically take you to that. As Kelly had said at the very beginning, we do get this information so we do know who's using it and what the main searches are, so we can then help tailor the site and also understand how individuals are using it. So when we go to our funders, we can say that this is how folks are using it, here's what they're downloading, and then continue to get funds to support our work. Okay, so once you log in, you get to the landing page. And depending upon what you want to do, there's 4 ways to enter the data. If you know what topic or domain area, Katie just went over those 10, you can go right to the top tabs, click on topics, and you get right to the information. If you're not sure what you're looking for, but you have an idea, you can search, use the search box, type in a few words or a series of words, and it will show you the different indicators that may have some of that information. You can also view our snapshots at the state and county level by clicking snapshots at the bottom. And then lastly, view the master map. It allows you to take a look at data from all topics and allowing for view of more than one indicator at the time. Now, the master map is the most complex area of the site, so I would suggest not going there first. We do have maps at the individual topic area, and kind of playing around with those maps before you hit the master map may be the best option for you. Okay, so if you select the topics tab at the top, you actually come to the page where you have all of the different domains listed. You can see those look very familiar from earlier in the slides. And if you hover over a specific topic icon, you can see the list of indicators for each topic area. So as Katie said, the purple in the brain, that's behavioral health. So for example, if you click on that, this is the page that you're going to see. And you can see the data for the indicators for behavioral health, and you follow these 5 steps. You can view the information either by table, graph, or map. So you need to decide how do you want to view it. Then you go ahead and select the indicator. What kind of information do you want? Then you're going to refine your results. So you select your state, you select your county, you select the year. Then you actually can determine up to 5 data fields that can be displayed, and then click submit to view the data. When viewing the list of indicators and you see that black box again, you can hover over that to get information. So not only does it include the confidence indicator, but it also includes the definition of the indicator. What are we measuring? We also include the source of the indicator. And this is really important, especially if you want to use this information for grant applications. They're going to want to know, where did you get this information? So we provide you the source. We talked about the confidence index, and also it tells you where you can or how you can view it. Is this information available on a map? Is it available at a table, or is it available at the graph, or a combination of the 2 or 3? Okay. So lots of people ask, well, when should I use a table? When should I use a graph? And so as indicated on the slide, the table is really best when you want to view multiple data fields within one indicator. It's also beneficial if you want to use view data from many counties within the state. Here in Indiana, we have 92 counties, and sometimes we need to look at all of them. So the table is really the best way to go. Lots of users have multiple communities that they're responsible for. They're responsible for a certain geographic area, and the table really allows them to view or download the data for those counties that they are responsible for. The graph is appropriate if you want to look for comparing data over time. So lots of the indicators on the site have data for multiple years, so you can look at trends. So if you're looking for trends and how progress is made, again, graph is the way to go. It does limit you to displaying 10 counties. I can't imagine going into looking at sheltered homeless veterans. If we had that data for 92 counties in Indiana, you wouldn't be able to tell where those lines go. Please also note that not all indicators can be graphed. We do have some text indicators. So obviously, when you go and you hover over that eye by the indicator, it'll tell you if this is available by graph. Okay, next slide. So viewing data on the map is the third way that you can choose to look at the information. And since it's interactive, it is really the best way that you can visualize the information. The map is most appropriate when you want to compare counties visually and when you want to view multiple indicators from one domain at a time. Since the map is visual in nature, it really helps identify gaps in services and looking at concentrations of populations or other indicators. Now on the master map, all of the domains are available for use, so that feature works best if you want to compare or plot indicators for multiple domains. So for example, if you want demographics and behavioral health and legal, you can pull all of those up on the map. We do have a tutorial for you that Kelly will link. You can download a PDF, we call it scenarios, which takes you step by step through how to work the map and the tables and the graphs. Okay. So when using the map feature, there's two ways that that data is displayed. The most common is the thematic, and it really uses the color scheme or a gradient color scheme. So it kind of looks at the concentrations of things. So obviously the darker color means that there's more of something. Now, although measuring communities is not a resource locator by design, there are some very specific uses of location. So some things like VA medical facilities, active duty military installations, SAMHSA treatment centers, their specified location. So each location is notated by a dot. You click on the dot and the dialog box appears with the information about that particular item. Okay. On the map, you can also create charts within that mapping feature. The chart tool allows you to select the geography of your choosing, including multiple states based on what you select. Again, we've provided you with a handout with specific scenarios that really walks you through how to use the chart. As Katie had mentioned before, you can download the data from the table or the map. For the table, if you select download all, you'll be able to download all of the data from the indicator, not just the 5 data fields that you selected. And that's really helpful when you want to create kind of your customized data set. So you can actually, as long as you pick the same counties, it has the county FIPS, you can actually create a customized data spreadsheet for the indicators that you're interested in. Graph, we just have a print option, but you actually can download the information from the map as well. You can see there, there's a very small tab at the bottom of the map. It's called an attribute table. You click that to expand it, choose the tab for the data that you want, and then you can download it in the CSV format. One of the quickest ways to get information when you really may not know what you want to take a look at, we suggest the snapshot. There's basically 3 clicks and you get the report. So it's a standardized template, and actually it draws information from the site and it produces a standardized 1-page document that you can print, save to PDF, use it in presentations, print it out if you're going to meetings to share information about the individual geography. There's a state snapshot and a county snapshot. And on our next slide, you're just going to see an update of the county snapshot. We have one for Boone County, Indiana. But you can see there, you've got veteran age by age, service member population, veteran county disability ratings. So it's just basic information. And then under the help tab, there's also tutorials that you can view how to use the tables, maps, and the graphs. So that's just a little bit of help for you. They're very brief, 2 to 3 minutes, just really to refresh your memory about how to get the data from measuring communities.
Great, thank you, Kathy. So now the question, how does it apply to my work? How can we use measuring communities within your work? So now we're going to go through a specific example of how we can use measuring communities for a veteran serving organization. So I want you to imagine you're a veteran serving organization. Some of you may not have to imagine. In Houston, Texas, you're interested in growing, partnering, or refining the services you provide to the community to better help service members, veterans, and their families. You're unsure, though, which services to target or what the exact needs are for this population. So where do you start? You can start by taking a deeper look at who lives in the Houston area as veterans and family members. You may look online to find this type of demographic information. So again, imagine you search online and you come across and you find that in 2019 and 2020, the Texas Veterans Commission, TVC, and the Public Policy Research Institute at Texas A&M conducted a community health needs assessment to identify the top needs of Texas veterans and their families. This needs assessment process included a survey to over 15,000 veterans across Texas, a survey to veteran serving organizations, an asset mapping project to identify veteran serving resources, and a series of focus groups with over 200 veterans and their families. So for the sake of today's presentation, we're going to look at the FVA Region 5 Gulf Coast Texas Veteran and Family Community, the region where Houston, Texas is located. The data contained in this slide does come directly from this needs assessment. It is a real needs assessment, and the link is on the slide here. So from this survey within the needs assessment, the majority of veterans who live in this region are non-Hispanic or Latino, they're white, male, 54% of veterans are younger than 65 years, while 45% are older than 65 years of age. Veterans have an income typically above the Texas median income, and 38% of veterans are retired, 34% are employed full-time, 8% are unemployed and actively looking for work, 6% are 100% disabled and not able to work, and 5% are self-employed. Of the 15,000 veterans who completed the needs assessment in Texas in 2020, about 2,700 veterans completed this survey from the FVA Region 5 Gulf Coast Texas region around Houston. They identified a few needs. They identified 5 individual needs for veterans. These include assistance with VA disability claims, assistance with VA healthcare, help with starting a business, integrative behavioral health therapies, and also employment support. They also identified 4 unmet regional needs, and these include needs related to clinical counseling, healthcare related support, employment related support, and again, assistance with VA disability claims. They also identified 5 barriers in seeking help for services or for care. These include the barrier of not fully understanding veteran benefits, the barrier of not knowing where to get help, the barrier of getting appointments, the barrier of general anxiety, and also the barrier of few providers in the local area. So then to summarize, there's 3 top needs that we've realized from the Houston area veterans based on this needs assessment. And these top needs are in the domains of 1, behavioral health, as veterans identified a need for counseling and therapy services. 2, medical care, as veterans identified a need for support with healthcare and VA benefit information. And then 3, employment, as 8% of veterans living in the Houston area of Texas are unemployed and actively looking for work. You may remember that these top needs coincide with the 3 out of 10 domain topics in measuring communities. So how can we use measuring communities here to help a veteran serving organization identify how to help their community based on what we found in this needs assessment? You can use measuring communities to look up additional data for the geographic area, make custom maps, tables, and graphs, as Kathy just showed us, to further enhance needs, problems, or geographic scopes, download data to keep for current or future support, and print ready-made state and county snapshots. In this specific scenario, the veteran serving organization may combine the needs assessment findings with the measuring communities data to create an even more detailed picture of the demographic landscape of veterans living in the Houston area. In essence, you can use measuring communities to find more information, find more data points, to get a better sense of what is happening in the community. Who lives in the community? What issues do they experience? What are their needs? Where can my organization help? Measuring communities can help answer these questions. So here's one example, employment. So employment is one of the 10 domain topics within measuring communities, and employment support was identified as a top need for Houston area veterans based on that needs assessment we just went through, as 8% of Houston area veterans are unemployed and actively looking for work. On the screen here, you can see 6 indicators in measuring communities with employment-related data. All 6 of these indicators do come from a data set and data source with 5 out of 5 stars for that confidence index, such as data from the US Census Bureau and the US Department of Veteran Affairs. This means that a veteran serving organization can feel most confident basing important organizational decisions on these indicators. And the indicators here that you see include county unemployment rates by veteran and civilians, state unemployment rates by veterans and civilians, the VA facilities that have employment support programs, county unemployment rates by age and by veteran and civilians, veteran-owned businesses by county, and also veteran-owned businesses by state. So if a veteran serving organization is interested in growing, partnering, or refining services for veterans in the Houston area that offer employment support, this organization could investigate 2 major measuring communities indicators that come from the list that you just saw on the previous slide. So the veteran serving organization could explore the VA facilities employment support indicator to identify if there's a VA facility that offers employment support in Houston. In fact, measuring communities does tell us that there is a VA facility that offers employment support in Houston, and we can also see the name of that office, the address, the city, there's the state, of course, the phone number on how to contact the office, and also the email on how to contact. This may be important to know if the veteran serving organization wants to partner, align current services, or compare data or experiences to better reach veterans looking for employment support. The veteran serving organization could also explore the county unemployment rate by age for veterans and non-veterans indicator to compare unemployment rates by age between veterans and non-veterans. In this way, if a veteran serving organization were hopeful to grow, partner, or refine employment support in the Houston area, the organization would be able to tell which age group of veterans most likely needs the support the most. This information could help the veteran serving organization tailor the program even more to fit age-specific needs related to employment. If you explore this indicator for Harris County, Texas, the county that Houston is a part of, you would be able to find that the unemployment rate for veterans is the highest for the age group of 18 to 34 years, and that both the unemployment rate for veterans ages 18 to 34 and ages 55 to 64 is higher than their civilian counterparts. This may lead you to refine current services or programs to highlight and target veterans, specifically ages 18 to 34, even more than what may be currently happening at an organization or within a partnership. Or if no services exist specifically for this age group, consider creating your own. You may think, though, that this data that you see on the slide, you can tell it's from 2019 for both of them. What about now? So we are in 2021, right? What could you do, or what you could do in measuring communities is look back on the last 5 years of data. So in this example, data beginning from 2015 to 2019 to get a sense of what types of trends exist for this data. So these graphs represent this historical data. The top graph looks at 2015 to 2019 unemployment rates for veterans ages 18 to 34, and the bottom graph looks at 2015 to 2019 unemployment rates for civilians ages 18 to 34. You'd be able to visually see from this graph that unemployment rates for veterans ages 18 to 34 are consistently hovering over that 9 to 10% mark, while the unemployment rates for civilians ages 18 to 34 are actually steadily declining from 10% in 2015 to 7.5% in 2019. But as we all know, the year 2020 brought great challenges with unemployment rates because of, or in part by, the COVID-19 pandemic. These 2019 rates are going to likely change given this pandemic. However, as data is segmented by country, veterans versus civilians, state, county, and age, the data collection does take time to collect. So in the meantime, we can use what we found in the Measuring Community site, the high unemployment rate for veterans ages 18 to 34 specifically, to help guide our search efforts for 2020 and 2021. This search for 2021 data points, though, are likely only at the national level, as it takes time, like I was saying, to segment from the county level and again to the age levels. This national level may be able, though, to still provide us with overarching themes to expect or anticipate for our specific counties of interest. So at this time, the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, a 5 out of 5 star data source on the Confidence Index, has released data for unemployment rates on the national level for 2020 and 2021. These national unemployment rates are segmented between veterans and non-veterans and between men and women. So first, you can see the national unemployment rate for veterans represented visually on a map from January 2011 to January 2021. You can see a large spike around March 2020, likely from the pandemic, and view as it comes back down. This national unemployment rate for veterans appears to still not be at the place it used to be pre-pandemic, but does appear to be moving in that direction. Next, you can see that the national unemployment rate for veterans and non-veterans by gender. You can see the data compares also August 2020 to August 2021. An observation you may gather is that the unemployment rates across the board are higher in August 2020 than last month in August 2021. You can also observe that the unemployment rate for women, whether veteran women or non-veteran women, was the highest rate in 2020 compared to the overall unemployment rate and unemployment rate for men, regardless of veteran or non-veteran. While the 2020 and 2021 data may not yet be available for Harris County, Texas on Measuring Communities, we are able to couple these findings with existing indicators and data for Measuring Communities to anticipate a few things for 2020 and 2021 data. First, we're able to anticipate that veteran unemployment rates likely spiked during the 2020 year in connection with the pandemic. Second, we're able to anticipate that veteran unemployment rates are likely coming back down to pre-pandemic rates, though these rates still may remain high. Third, we're able to anticipate that women veterans were likely hit the hardest compared to their male counterpart regarding unemployment. Therefore, if you're a veteran serving organization trying to better help veterans and their families, you can couple existing data with the data in Measuring Communities to paint a clear demographic landscape of the needs or the issues veterans and their families are facing, and tailor, refine, partner, and grow services to make the biggest impact in the lives of those you serve. An impact grown through data externally and data from the Measuring Communities site. So to conclude, in today's training, we did answer 3 questions. First, what is Measuring Communities? We defined the purpose of the site. How do you use Measuring Communities? we provided a tutorial or a tour, as Kathy said, of how to use the major features of the site. And then third, how does it apply to your work? We went through a specific example for Houston, Texas, and coupled existing data and data from measuring communities to show how a veteran serving organization could tailor, refine, partner, and grow services to make the biggest impact in the lives of those they serve. And so as we talked about, we do have a section here. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Katie and Kathy, and thanks to everyone for joining us. If you do have questions, please feel free to put them in chat, but I do recognize that this is a lot to process, and so asking real tangible questions may be harder, but I mean, who loves data, right? Like, how can we make data-informed decisions? This is exactly how the information that we need. When you meet someone who says they want to start a new program serving veterans or military families, have them start here, help them dig into this data, because this is how we can make informed decision-making. And just tell all of your friends that this is a resource that's available to them. We're excited to have each one of you participate. And I swear we did not pre-plan this to make the marketing and outreach case for Houston, Texas of how we need to elevate our profile for Combined Arms. As all of those resources, a great partnership with the VA, resource navigation, VA benefits can all be solved if only our veterans had better awareness of what we can do for them as a great front door. So some great feedback from all of you in the chat, but I think if there is a question, Becky here is asking if the data is gathered nationwide. Yeah, so Becky, you can pull California, you can look specifically to Los Angeles County. There's so much information there. Tracy, I see you have a raised hand, so let me see if I can.
Kelly, while you're doing that, I'm just gonna I'll respond to Becky. So Becky, we have data at the county level as well as the state level. So it just actually depends upon the indicator. And you can see, sometimes we have unemployment rates for the state and then unemployment rates for the county. So we purposely chose indicators that had data for every community in the country. So most of it, I'd say 90% are at the county level, the other 10% at the state level. We're working right now on getting things at the congressional level. So there's lots of geographies that you can take a look at.
Thank you, Kathy. And there is a question here. How often is the data updated? I know that you, Katie shared it is updated annually, but someone's looking at mental health data from 2018. So is that just dependent on your partners and how often they're providing that information, or could you have some more information on that?
Sure. So our data sources, and right now we actually switched web developers. So we do know that some of our indicators are slightly behind because we're making some changes. So if a data source, for example, the Census Bureau comes out with their data in December. And so every indicator that uses that information, we as a team by January is our goal to have it updated. So if there is something in terms of 2018 or later, or I should say earlier, it would, I just lost my train of thought, then it may not be available. So it just depends. So we try and have it the minute that it gets updated, published, we update that on the site. So how would you determine that women veterans were likely hit worse for unemployment? Katie, did you want to answer Tina's? I can't quite, I can.
Yeah, there's a question that says, how do we determine that women veterans were likely hit worse for unemployment when the unemployment for veteran women was 3.2 and veteran men was 3.5, or did she read that wrong? So she's really targeting a specific thing. I think that was, you were pulling that from the Bureau and Labor Statistics data that you had shared. And maybe we read that backwards.
Yes, so we were talking about the August 2020 data from the labor force statistics. And so we're looking at women veterans, that unemployment rate was 8.2%. And then we've got men veterans at 6.1%. And then we have non-veteran women at 9%, and then non-veteran men at 8.2%. So both of those percentages for women are higher than those percentages for men.
That was in August of 2020. I think, Tina, you were looking at August of 2021. So that actually improved. And so when you look at it, the women have made a stronger comeback than the men.
Thank you for that. And I'm not seeing any other questions, but I do just want to remind, right, as Katie and Kathy had shared, all of this data, even the analysis that they used or the case study that they used was through survey data. People have to participate in surveys in order to be able to talk about needs assessments and needs analysis. And so if you are ever receiving a survey or asked to fill one out, please go ahead and do that, because that's how we really look at information across the nation and make the case for those needs. I know I've personally used measuring communities to take a look specifically at programming in underserved communities in the Austin area, specifically as it relates to veterans. And so the best way that you can go ahead and dig into this is go into the Combined Arms Institute website. There's a link, as Kathy shared, you have that code that's good for 90 days. And we'll save in your browser so that you don't always have to re-log into it. But it does allow you to make that case and find the data and information for you. And it is our goal through the Institute to, again, probably always try to provide resources and tools and information that alleviate the pain points of time and money. So if we can accelerate how you're accessing and making data-driven decision making, then we are absolutely doing what we are trying to accomplish in accelerating how you can best serve veterans and military families. So overall, just so great for all of you for participating, and thank you to Kathy and Katie for sharing this great resource and maintaining and updating it. If you do have additional questions, please don't hesitate to send them our way at institute.combinedarms.us. And it is always our honor and pleasure to serve each and every one of you. And we'll be grateful if you do fill out our feedback survey as well. So thank you for joining us today. And we're just grateful for our panelists and to everyone for their participation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.